Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei is son of the Doom Slayer? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the KILLER35 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Issei. Time to get up. Issei mother shouted from downstairs. Ugh. Fine, I am up. Issei yelled back. Issei got out of his bed and went into his bathroom and started his day. His morning routine was him taking a shower, using the toilet, brushing his teeth and fixing himself up. Issei was your average looking 13-year-old boy. Long but spiky hair, big brown eyes, he was nothing special. Average build and height. He was just about to finish his hair when suddenly. Issei. Breakfast is ready. His dad yelled. I will be downstairs in a minute, Issei yelled back. Issei quickly finished himself, got dressed and ran downstairs. Issei got to the table and sat down to eat his breakfast. So Issei, what do you plan on doing today? Summer is almost over and next thing you know you will be back at school. Issei's mother said. I planned on meeting Akeno at the playground today, then we planned on going to the mall. Issei replied. Ugh. Why do I hang around that girl? Issei's father asked. Issei's father and Akeno family never really liked each other. The reason was never really clear in his mind on why his father hated Akeno's family so much, but he never really paid much attention to it. She is a nice person to be around. It's not like it's a big deal or anything. Issei replied. I just wish you had normal friends for once, Issei's father said. Yay, whatever. Issei replied in a sarcastic tone. After breakfast, Issei got up from his seat and walked over to the front door to put his shoes on and walked out the front door to meet up with Akeno. Honey, you have to need to get over your intolerance of them, Issei's mother said. You know my family history. You know what my ancestors did to their kind in most supernatural worlds. I just hope that the crow isn't setting up my son. Issei's father replied. I doubt she is playing our son. If she is, you always have that shotgun hanging on the wall. Issei's mother jokes. I would most likely use the sword downstairs. The father replied with a twisted grin on his face. Issei walked towards the playground thinking about his father's hatred. Why does my father hate Akeno's family so much? I don't get it. Our mothers get along well, but when our fathers saw each other for the first time it was like a fistfight waiting to happen. What does he mean by normal too? Maybe it's just an age thing. I don't know. Issei was at the playground now. He was looking for Akeno when he heard. Get away from me, you creep. A voice screamed in the distance. Issei ran to the voice. He got to where the voice came from and he stood there in rage. There was some old creep trying to feel up Akeno. Issei ran at the creep and with the hardest punch he could make. He threw it at the creep. It landed right on my jaw. The creep was out before he hit the pavement. Try that again, I will rip you in half. Issei yelled at the man who was still knocked out. Are you alright, Akeno-san? Issei said as he turned towards Akeno. I didn't know Issei-kun had such an aggressive side to him. Akeno replied. Issei looked at Akeno with a look of confusion. Akeno was a shy girl and had trouble making friends. Even though she was a year older than Issei. She would look up to him and relied on him, which always confused him. Usually when a girl gets saved, she acts all scared and frightened. So why does she look like a porn star who is about to have first experience? Issei thought. Anyway, let's get out here. I don't hang out here when the man comes to, Issei said. I think that is a wonderful idea, Issei-kun, Akeno replied within a very sensual manner. I can't believe Issei had so much aggression. I wonder what he will be when gets older. Maybe even the bedroom. What I am thinking, that's just wrong. The strike had much rage and power behind it. I can't help but feel hot when he hits that pervert. Oh my. I might fall for Issei if you keep the side you have. If I haven't fallen for him already. Akeno pondered as they walked towards the mall. The day was pretty uneventful after the pervert in the park. Issei and Akeno walked around the mall. Trying on clothes and enjoying one another company. The day was coming to an end and Issei began walking home to Akeno just to make sure no one tried to molest her again. Issei and Akeno were at the front gate of Akeno's home. Well, it was more like a shrine than anything else, but she called a home. Thank you for hanging out with me today, Akeno said. No problem, anytime. I really like hang out with you, Akeno-san, Issei replied. Akeno blushed at Issei's kind words. Akeno, get away from him, a man running towards the two. The man running towards Issei and Akeno was Akeno's father, Barakiel. The man was huge in height and looked like he could lift the world up on his shoulders and ask for more weight. Barakiel came between the two. Akeno, go inside now, Barakiel demanded. But father. Akeno replied. Now. Barakiel yelled. Akeno did as she was told and walked inside her home without even a goodbye to Issei. Now you listen here, I am telling you to stay away from my daughter. If I ever see you near her again, I will personally send you to hell. I understand. Barakiel yelled at Issei. Why should I? We like to see each other. I don't see the issue here. Issei replied. Barakiel smacked Issei across the face with his bare hand. It hit Issei with such an impact that he fell on his side. I am understood, Barakiel screamed at the boy. Yes, Issei said in a low tone. Good. Now get out of here, boy, Barakiel barked at Issei. Issei got to his feet and began to walk in the direction of his house. I swear it feels like I'm missing a piece of history when it comes to my family and Akeno's. Why does Akeno's father hate me so much? Why can't my family see me? I like seeing Akeno. My last friend Arena wasn't even allowed to play in my house anymore when my family discovered that the Arena family had strong ties to the local church. Maybe my family hates religion. I don't understand it. Issei pondered. When he got home, Issei noticed that the front door was open. I wonder why the door is open, Issei said to himself. Boom. Issei was scared out of his mind when heard that sound. Not from noise but what that noise came from. It was his father's shotgun. Issei ran inside to see what was going on. What Issei saw shook him to the very core. Issei stood there in the front door of his home. The home he grew up in and the home he felt the safest in. No longer did that safe feeling linger anywhere in that home. No longer did that feeling of happiness of being home was there. Issei was shocked, scared, angry and a bunch of emotions at the same time. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Issei tried rubbing his eyes just to make sure this wasn't real. Sadly, it was. What Issei was seeing wasn't some sick joke. It is what no one should see at any age, especially if at a young age. In front of Issei was his now dead father. He was against the wall. He was slumped over, not moving as blood leaked out from the giant in his chest. On his left side, Issei could see still clutched in his now deceased father's hand was his double-barrel shotgun. It was recently fired as one could see the smoke coming out of one of the barrels. Issei slowly made his way over to his dead father to grab the weapon. Just when Issei grabbed the weapon, a sound was heard in the next room. Issei quickly got a hold of the weapon and made his way over to the next room. Issei looked on in horror as he saw his mother getting raped by some guy. It was at this point when Issei lost it. Issei aimed the shotgun at the man and fired. Boom. HH, the man screamed. The man fell on his side while attempting to use his left arm. The amount of force and how close Issei was to the man shredded the man's arm and blew off bits and pieces. That hurt. You are going to pay for that, you little shit. The man got up on his feet and rushed Issei. The man got to Issei and with his only hand he grabbed the neck of Issei. He picked up Issei and threw him into the floor. The impact from the throw caused Issei to go through the floor. Issei hit the floor below with such an impact that he caused the floor to crack and dent. Issei screamed. The force of the impact caused him to break a couple of bones. Issei looked at him. He saw the man grow black wings and he started to float down to him. Issei powered through the pain and started to look for a weapon. Issei saw a handle of a sword that was near him, but he had to crawl to reach it. Issei started to crawl towards the handle. Am you still alive? What is this family made of? The father put up some sort of fight right before I killed him. Same with your mom. I got to say I couldn't pass up an opportunity to spread those legs and have some fun. I really like a woman who plays rough. Too bad she couldn't take the spear to the chest. The man said with a creepy twisted smile. With each word the uttered, Issei's rage grew. When the man finished his taunt, Issei wanted to kill him. Kill him, a voice said. Kill him, this thing shouldn't be able to breathe anymore. Take the sword and put it through him. Unleash your rage. The voice said. Issei grabbed the handle of the sword and pointed at the man. Ha 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 ha. You are going to defeat a fallen angel with a sword handle. Ha 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 ha. The man taunted. Trust in your rage. It will never steer you wrong. If you want to live another day, rush him with the handle in your hand. The voice said. Issei listened to the voice and rushed the man with the handle pointed at the man. Issei closed the distance very quickly. Issei closed eyes as he put the sword handle into the man's chest. Please work, Issei hoped. The man screamed. Issei opened his eyes. What he saw was a sight that he would always remember. In the man's chest was a sword that Issei had never seen before. Issei never had seen a sword up close before, but he has seen them before in books and on TV. This sword was very different for all those he swords. The blade wasn't made from metal at all. It looked like it was made from a red plasma. It was wide than a broadsword and the tip had this weird half-moon shape to it. Issei pulled the sword from the man's chest. Issei watched the man fall to the ground and watch him roll around. Phew, that hurt. You kid. Gorgon will kill you, Gorgon yelled. Well done, boy. You downed your very first enemy. I must admit you have some potential as my user. Now is not the time to spoil your moment. Now finish this crow. Put your sword towards his neck and plunge it into his throat. No. Issei said. What do you mean no? the boy said with concern. I want this thing to feel it, Issei said with a twisted grin. You really are going to be a great slayer. I am so glad you found me, partner. The boy said. Issei walked over towards Gorgon's head. Issei put his foot on Gorgon's face. What are you doing? Gorgon tried to say. Issei raised his foot up, then stomped on Gorgon's face. Gorgon screamed. Issei raised his foot again and stomped on his face again. And again. And again. And again. And again. Issei stomped on Gorgon so much that his head became a mess of blood and brain. Partner. That was the most beautiful thing that I have ever seen. The voice said. Who are you? Issei said. He was exhausted from stomping on Gorgon's head. My name is Demos. I am what rides inside the Slayer's sword. Demos said. The Slayer's sword? What's that? Issei said. It's what you are currently holding, partner. Demos said. So, you are a talking sword? Issei replied. Hardly. I am just not a talking sword, partner. I am what gives you your Slayer powers. Slayer powers? Issei said, confused. It's a long story, but you had an ancestor that fought in the Great War and fought every faction. Demos replied. Great War? Factions? I don't get it. Issei replied with a confused look on his face. I will explain to you later, right now I sense a demonic presence nearby. Be prepared to fight. Demos said. I got lucky with this one. If I fight in my condition. Issei said in a scared tone. Partner. You are from a bloodline where demons were scared just by uttering your family name. You are part of that bloodline. You are part of a world where only the strong survive. Remember your partner, trust in your rage. You will never die if you use it. Show this demon the true meaning of fear and pain. Demos said they were trying to boost Issei's drive. Really? I can't die if you use my rage. Issei replied. Yes. You have the ability to heal yourself by fighting demons and monsters. It's part of your Slayer powers. Alright. Let's make this demon my bitch. Issei said with determination in his voice. That's the spirit, partner. Show him that you are no regular human. Show him what it really means to be in pain. What it means to feel fear. Demos getting fired up. Issei walked upstairs to confront the demonic threat. Issei got to the top of the stairs. He looked to his right and to his left. Issei spotted his father's shotgun and walked over to pick it up. Issei also spotted a dresser where his father kept the ammo for the cannon. Issei opened up the dresser and picked up some rounds for it. That's when he saw his mom. He walked over to his mom and grabbed her hand. A part of him wanted to cry and act his age. Another part wanted to go back downstairs and put more rounds into Gorgon. Issei reached for his mother's eyelids and closed them. When he finished his goodbye to his mom, Issei felt nothing but utter rage. The injustice, how unfair the W thing was. How sudden it was. With each moment went by the more Issei's rage grew. Suddenly he heard a bump upstairs. Issei walked upstairs with the shotgun cocked and ready to put in something. Demlos wasn't active so Issei could fit it in his back pocket. As Issei got to the top of the stairs he had a bump in his room. As he got closer to his room, he heard a voice. Where is this kid? I'll have to kill this kid and I can come back to my master and his peerage, the voice said. Sucks to be you. Issei thought. Issei put both barrels towards the door and pulled both triggers. Boom. The demon screamed. The force from the Issei shotgun made Issei's door splinters. Knock, knock, Issei said in a sarcastic voice. You are in dead, kid, the demon screamed. Issei walked into the room. He looked at the downed demon. He had a giant where his chest used to be. Issei was surprised that the demon was alive. Me dead? Oh no, I am not going to die. You, however, are certainly going to die. Issei said as walked towards the demon reloading his weapon. Wait, let's make a deal. You can have anything you want as long as you let me live. The demon pleaded. How's this for an answer? Issei said with a grin on his face as he pointed the weapon at the demon. Why? Boom. Issei blew the demon's head clean off. Demos, Issei said. Yes, partner. Demos replied. Are all these demons and monsters like this, bloodthirsty and horrific? Issei asked. Not all, but a lot of them are like that. Demons and devils are usually greedy and selfish. Fallen angels have some desire that made them fall in the first place. Angels are okay, but a lot of them shove the fact that there are good guys, even though that hasn't appeared all that much to humans. There are other beasts and monsters that wander around, but usually they look out for themselves or each other. At least from what I remember. Demos replied. Great. This is going to be a fun lifetime. Issei sighed. Issei walked downstairs. When he got to the bottom of the stairs, he remembered that he needed a place to stay. Then he remembered his aunt. She was on his dad's side and they seemed close. Her mom was a single child. Issei went back upstairs and went into his room to pack up his stuff. After he packed up his stuff, he left his stuff at the front door. Issei ran into the garage and saw his father's chainsaw and gas canister. He picked up the chainsaw and left it at the end of the driveway. He went back into the house and started to pour the gasoline everywhere. He grabbed his stuff and looked into the building one last time. He flipped a lighter that his mother had and lit the gas. He picked up the chainsaw and began to walk towards the direction of his aunt's house. He walked past Akeno's home and that's when Demo spoke. "Partner, I hate to say this, but the house you just walked by, I sense fallen angels in there. Don't worry about demons. She isn't going to harm us," Issei said in a depressed tone. "She?" Demos replied. "Well, at least I understand now why father hated that family," Issei said with a low tone. "Where are we going, partner?" Demos asked. "To my aunt's house. She lives out in the country and is very secluded. I got to learn these powers I have, Demos, so I need a place to train, plus I can't live in the house that my parents just." "I understand, partner," Demos replied. That's when Issei heard a scream. He turned around at Akeno's home. "Partner?" Demos asked. That voice. It was no mistake. That was Akeno's voice. He ran towards the shrine, hoping that he wasn't too late. Ran towards the front gate of the shrine. He hoped that Akeno was safe, or at least she could keep away from whatever that was trying to harm. Got to the front gate and with all the strength he could gather, he threw his body into the metal gate. As soon as he did that, it broke apart and allowed Issei to reach the front door. "I should ask Demos about my powers because I clearly shouldn't be able to do that so easily," Issei thought. "Yes. Super strength is part of your powers," Demos said. "How did you hear me?" Issei asked, shocked. "I can read your mind. It's also how I communicate with you," Demos replied. "So, anything I think, you can see?" Issei asked. "Yes," Demos replied. "Wonderful," Issei said sarcastically. Issei got to the front door of the shrine. He threw the door and the first thing he saw was a blood trail on the floor. Issei dropped the chainsaw and his bag at the front door. That left him his shotgun and demons. Issei followed the trail to a door that was towards the back. Just as he grabbed the handle, he heard a scream from the other side. "Get away from me and mommy." Issei threw the door open and what he saw threw him into rage. On the floor was Akeno's mom's motionless body in the center of the room. Right behind her body was Akeno. In front of the two was a guy wearing a mask holding a sword covered in blood. "You are a fallen angel. You cannot be saved by anyone," the man said. Issei cocked both barrels of his shotgun and screamed. "That's where you are dead wrong." Issei pulled both triggers of the weapon. Boom. The man didn't know what hit him. The man flew over Akeno and into the opposite wall. The man was dead before he fell to the ground. Akeno reached out her hand towards Issei's direction. With tears in her eyes she tried to do something, but her voice was strained due to her screaming. He came to Akeno and tried to speak. Issei ran over to the scared girl. He threw his arms around her as an attempt to comfort the girl. Akeno, it's okay. Everything is okay now. No one is going to hurt anymore," Issei said in a soothing voice as he stroked her hair. Akeno raised her arms around Issei and clung to him like life depended on it. She cried her eyes for a good 10 minutes. After she finished, she lifted her head and directly looked at Issei. "They attacked because of my wings. I hate everything," Akeno tried to say. "Akeno, I could never hate because of what you are. I don't see you as anything else but you," Issei tried to reassure her. "Really, Issei?" Akeno said hopefully. "Yes," Issei replied. He hugged her even harder. "Can I live with you?" Akeno asked. Issei was about to tell her about what happened, but he heard a very loud noise outside the room. "Akeno, I need you to leave this shrine. There may be another intruder in here and if they find you they might harm you," Issei told Akeno. What about you?" Akeno asked in a scared tone. "Don't worry about me. Just go." "Where?" Akeno replied. "Anywhere. The park, a friend's place, anywhere that isn't here," Issei said. "Alright," Akeno said in a sad tone. "Okay. Now go," Issei said in a rushed manner. Akeno ran out of the room while Issei stayed to confront the threat. Issei reloaded his shotgun and began to walk slowly towards the origin of the sound. As Issei turned to the corner in the hallway, he came in contact with another intruder. "You boy. Where is the fallen angel? Answer my question or we'll kill you," the man said. "I'm scared now," Issei responded. "Have it your way then," the man said as he charged Issei. Issei pulled out demons and swung low. Issei landed Demos on the man's leg and it came off completely. The man screamed as he fell over. "This is for Akeno's mom," Issei said in a cold tone as he put Demos into the man's chest. As he pulled Demos from the man's chest, a lightning strike hit Issei back and pushed him down the hall and landed him in a wall. Issei turned around to find an enraged Barakiel. "What happened here? Did you kill my wife? Where is my daughter?" Barakiel asked as walked towards with a light sword in hand. I need you to calm down. I didn't kill your wife. Issei tried to say. The force from the attack broke a couple bones. The pain from the previous attack and this one was really starting to take its toll. Bullshit. I know you did. I should have killed you the moment I saw you. I am going to that right now. Barakiel said as he raised his sword and was about to be brought down when someone screamed. Stop it, Akeno screamed. Akeno ran towards Barakiel and got in front of Issei. Issei protected me when you weren't here. Issei did your job because you weren't here. Momo would still be alive if you were here with us. Akeno screamed with tears in her eyes. Barakiel lowered his sword and made it disappear. Leave. Barakiel said in a depressed tone. Issei got up on his feet and began to walk towards the door and get his things. Akeno. Issei said almost like it was a whisper. Wait, Issei. Akeno ran towards Issei for a hug, but Barakiel grabbed her. Akeno let him go. Barakiel said in an almost demanding tone. Akeno looked back at Barakiel with anger in her eyes. Let me go. Akeno said in a demanding tone. Akeno looked back at Issei, but he was gone. Issei, Akeno thought. Issei was about 1 kilometer away from his aunt's house. Issei was tired from the battles he fought tonight. The only thing keeping awake was Demos answering his questions. You know, Issei, I am surprised. You just fought against a high-ranking fallen angel. Barakiel is second hand to Azazel, if I remember correctly. Boo. I am so tired. Issei said, trying to stay awake. I understand, partner. You're almost there. Demo said. Issei reached the front door of his aunt's home. He knocked on the front door and waited. Issei heard something on the other side, and then the door opened. Issei. What happened? Issei's aunt screamed. Issei stood in the doorway with a blank expression and said in a tired tone. Fallen angels. Issei then passed out in the front door of his aunt's home. Issei awoke in a soft bed covered in bandages. He looked around the room and began to wonder where he was. Then Issei heard a door open and saw his aunt. Issei, you're awake. Issei's aunt said in a surprised tone. She ran over to Issei and hugged him. You have been out for 3 days and I have been worried that you will wake up again. Oh, Issei said in a strained voice. Oh, sorry. You know how your aunt Alex likes to hug. Alex said in a sad tone. Now Issei, you have some explaining to do. Where did you get this shotgun and where did you get this handle? Most importantly, what happened to you? Alex asked. Issei began to tell Alex all about the events that happened. His father and mother being dead, how he found Demos and the shotgun, his first kill, the devil in his room, his fight with Barakiel. Issei finished his talk with tears in his eyes. Alex stood there and listened to every word Issei spoke. When Issei finished his story, Alex lost her mind. Those crows are going to pay for hurting my family. I am going to kill every last one starting with that nerd Azazel. Alex said in rage. Issei reached out and grabbed onto her wrist. As soon as he grabbed onto her, she calmed down. She looked at him and felt sadness. She grabbed onto the boy and hugged him. SHH, it's okay. I am here, Ice. You can let it out, Alex said in a motherly voice. Issei cried his heart into Alex's shoulder. When he finished, he looked into Alex's eyes and said with conviction. Teach me, Alex. Teach me these powers I have so I can find out why my parents were killed and make sure this never happens to anyone. Of course. I must warn you, Issei. The training you ask is brutal and might kill you. You really must be sure you want this. Alex replied. Yes, I do. Issei said without a moment of hesitation. Alright. Your training begins tomorrow. For now, get some rest. You are going to need it. Alex said. Issei closed his eyes and the last thing he said was right before he fell asleep. No matter how hard the training is. I will overcome them and be the strongest slayer to ever walk the earth. Alex got Issei up around 7 AM the next day. The first thing he was forced to do was run 10 kilometers as a warm-up. After he got back from his run, Issei wasn't even allowed to catch his breath because he was forced to do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. After finishing his sit-ups, he laid back down to catch his breath. I am going to die. Issei spoke with sweat coming off his face. If you are going to complain this early in your training, then you might make it through the day. Alex said. There are 2 parts of training. Physical training to increase your strength and reflexes. This also increases your super strength and speed traits. The second part is your magical training. This training will focus on your health collection and increase your magical abilities as well as make you more resistant to magical attacks. We are now going to focus on magic. Sit down and close your eyes. Alex said in a commanding tone. Issei did what he was told and sat down and closed his eyes. I want you to breathe in and out and only focus on your breathing, Alex said in a calm tone. Issei listened to Alex and only focused on his breathing. When Issei opened his eyes, he was surrounded by fire. Where am I? Issei asked out loud. You, boy? A voice boomed. Why yes. Issei replied, scared out of his mind. Do you desire power? The voice asked. Huh? Issei asked confused. A red dragon with green eyes appeared in front of the boy. The dragon was massive compared to Issei. It had massive wings coming out his back. The dragon roared that showed his sharp teeth that looked deadly. I said, boy, do you desire power? The dragon asked. Why yes. Issei replied. Why do you need this power? The dragon asked Issei. To figure out why my parents were killed and avenge them, as well as become the strongest warrior to ever live. Issei said. I see. I will give you this power to avenge your parents and make sure you become a warrior of legend. However, this power comes at a cost. By accepting this power we'll take on many challengers that would want to defeat you and may kill you. Do you still want this power? The dragon asked. Yes. Issei replied. Very well. I, DDRAIG, give you my power and make you the new Red Dragon Emperor. A very bright green light filled Issei's vision. Issei closed his eyes to shield them. When Issei opened them, he was laying down looking up at the ceiling. Issei sat up on the bed and wiped his head from the sweat with his left hand. Fling. Issei was completely dumbfounded. On Issei's left hand was a red gauntlet with a giant green gem on the hand. The gauntlet had 2 golden tips that were at the back of the mystery item. It had a few spikes right before the golden tips that got smaller as it got towards the hand. You're one special boy. Issei turned his head and saw Alex standing in the doorway. Is this thing part of my powers? Issei asked. Nope. What you have is something very special. You currently have sacred gear. Alex said while walking towards Issei's side. Sacred gear? What is that? Issei asked. A sacred gear is an item that is given by God that allows the user different abilities. What you have is boosted gear. It allows the user to double their power every 10 seconds and can transfer that power to other people and items. Alex said. Amazing that you know that. The gauntlet talked. The gem on the gauntlet flashed each time the gauntlet uttered a word. Can you talk? Issei asked surprised as he turned his head and looked at the gem. Yes, I can talk. The woman is right about your powers. I am surprised that a human would know so much about sacred gears. I will have you know, you overgrown lizard, that you are being wielded by a descendant of one of the most fearsome warriors of the Great War. Alex spit back at the gauntlet. Oh really? What warrior would that be? The gem said. The Slayer. Issei spoke up. The gem didn't say anything for a good 2 minutes. Why you don't mean the Slayer? The one who slaughtered 3/4 of the fallen angel faction and almost wiped the devils out completely. The one who sealed me and the white one in these gears. The one who took on God and the Devil King at the same time. That Slayer. The gem sounded scared. Yes, that Slayer. Alex said with a small smile on her face. I am so very sorry for doubting you. Please don't destroy me. The gem apologized. I don't think I could do that. Issei looked at the gem. Anyway, I have to make dinner now. I will leave to talk to your new partner. Starting tomorrow, Issei, I have doubled your training regimen due to your gear. This is going to be hell. Issei sighed to himself. So gem, do you have a name? Issei said the gem. My name is Drake. Partner. Drake responded. Well, my name is. Partner. Is it true? Are you the welder of the boosted gear? Demos asked like he was a little kid and in between the two. Oh, Demos. I haven't heard from you in a couple days now. How did I figure out that I wield Drake? Issei said in confusion. Alex told me. She is keeping me in the shed outside the home with all the other weapons she has. I have been trying to contact you, but I couldn't reach you. Demo said. Why don't you ask Drake and see for yourself? Issei questioned the sword. Partner. Who are you talking to? Drake said in confusion. I am Delmos. I am the Slayer's sword. Demos introducing himself. So, let me get this straight, partner. You are a descendant of the Slayer, you are now a welder of the boosted gear. Now I learn that you weld the legendary Slayer's sword, Demos. Is that all, partner? Drake said in surprise. That about sums it up. You should become a very powerful warrior with our help. I know it for a fact. Drake said. The help from demons, you and Alex. I know that as well. I will become a powerful warrior and make sure to protect the people I care for. Issei said with determination in eyes. Issei laid back down and fell asleep. The next day Issei got up and began his warm-up. After he got back from his warm-up, he began his combat training and magical training. Alex doubled his regiment on the account of his boosted gear. Issei was having some trouble keeping up with the training, but he never gave up. The combat training he was forced to do was him dogging Alex's attacks and trying to land an attack of his own. The magical training was split between Issei defending magical attacks and upgrading his boosted gear and his Slayer abilities. Issei also had to learn about the supernatural world and what was in it. So, Alex taught Issei about the supernatural world. Issei did this every day till Alex was sure he could survive on his own and didn't get killed if he was ever in a fight. Time skip BTW. Well Issei, I must say you have certainly improved since you arrived at my front door. Alex said. Really? I don't feel any difference since arriving. The only thing I can think that changed was the boosted gear. Issei said as he sat down on a bench. Nonsense. You can use your abilities properly and with no difficulty. You can use your boosted gear with ease. You are physically fit and can take on a high-ranked devil with ease. Alex said cheerfully. I just wish I could use that. Issei said in a depressed tone. Don't beat yourself over it. I am sure that I will get to use that properly. Alex said reassuring Issei. Thanks Alex. Issei said with a small smile. You are only 16 years old. You have plenty of time to unlock it. Alex said. I would have more time to train if you didn't enroll me in school. Issei replied. You are going to Kuo and that is final. Do not make use of that on you. Alex said in a threatening tone. Why yes ma'am, Issei said, scared out of his mind when that was brought up. Besides, I don't want you to live here forever. I found you a nice apartment to live in while you are there. Ugh. Fine. Issei said in an agreement. Now go pack your things. Alex said in a commanding tone. Yes, Drill Sergeant, Issei said under his breath. What was that? Alex replied. Nothing, Issei said as he ran to his room to pack his stuff. The next day. Alex drove Issei to his apartment so he could get settled in and prepare for his first day of school. Well, here we are. Alex said. Issei got out of the car and looked at the building. It was a gray building about 6 floors up. It didn't have anything that made it stand out, so it just kind of made it blend into the surrounding area. Issei entered the building with his bags and walked up to his room. Issei opened the door to his room and began to look around. It was a small living room that was connected to the kitchen, and down the hall was a bathroom and a single bedroom. Issei began to put his stuff away when Demos and Drake began to talk. Issei, I wanted to let you know that I sense devils and fallen angels nearby. Demos are right. I also sense devils and fallen angels nearby. Oh, wonderful. By the way, Demos, how's the backpack? Got a lot of room? Issei asked Demos. Yes, partner, it's just as I remember. Demos replied cheerfully. This backpack ability I have really comes in handy. It would be really awkward to carry a shotgun and you around in school. Agreed. Demos replied. Issei finished getting his stuff put away and then laid down on his bed and fell asleep. Issei got up 2 hours before school started and began his morning routine. After he finished, Issei took a shower, got dressed and walked towards Kuo Academy. Issei got to the front gate and noticed all the kids greeting each other and walking towards the front door when he felt like he was being watched. He looked up and saw a woman looking at him with an inattentive state from another building. The girl had red hair and big sea blue eyes. Her uniform held tightly around her very big chest. Issei looked directly at her and thought. So, she must be the devil that my partners were warning me should be fun. Issei waved at her and began to walk to his class. After looking around for his classroom, Issei found the class he was assigned. Issei knocked on the door to the classroom. The door opened and Issei assumed it was the teacher. Oh my. You must be my new student. Come on in and introduce yourself. The teacher said. Issei walked into the class and saw the other students. One of the students caught the attention of Issei. The student was male and had blonde hair and blue eyes. However, Issei knew he wasn't human. Issei knew that this student was a devil. The student in question looked at Issei and his eyes went wide for a brief second, then showed concern. Issei could sense that the student also knew that he wasn't a regular human and wanted to know more. Issei walked to the front of the class. Starting today we have a new student. The teacher said to the class. Hello. My name is Issei Haidu and I am pleased to meet you. Issei bowed to the class. Issei. You can take a seat in front of Kiba in the back. The teacher told Issei. Issei walked towards his seat and sat down. Throughout the entire class Issei felt Kiba stare at him. The class went by very quickly. Issei wasn't really paying attention and just stared outside the window. The bell rang and the teacher left the room. As soon as the teacher left, Issei felt a tap on his shoulder. Issei turned around and saw Kiba looking at him. Can you follow me please? Kiba said in a polite tone. Issei looked at him for a moment. Issei got out of his chair and walked behind Kiba. Through the walk to their destination Issei was wondering where he was leading him. They arrived at an old school building and walked inside. They walked upstairs and reached a big pair of doors. Kiba opened the doors and the two boys walked in. As soon as he opened the door, he saw the woman from earlier sitting behind a desk. In front of the desk there were 2 couches facing one another. On one of those couches he saw a girl. She had a smaller frame. The girl had short white hair with a cat clip in it. She was eating some cookies and paying little attention to what was going on around her. The room itself was very lavish and fancy. For an old school building it had class. "Hello there. My name is Rias Gremory and I welcome you to the Occult Research Club," Rias said, greeting Issei. "Gremory, huh? I can't say I am shocked," Issei said as he took a seat, acting it wasn't a big deal. "Shocked? Why would you be shocked?" Rias asked, confused. "Well, it's not every day you meet the Demon King's little sister," Issei replied. Everyone in that room was shocked. "It seems I can just skip right to the point then," Rias said with a smile on her face. "Please do. I don't want to stay here any longer than I have to," Issei said in a low tone. Everyone picked up on his tone and began to prepare themselves for a fight. "Far enough. I want to know who you are. You are clearly a part of the supernatural and clearly have some sort of power. I want to know what it is," Rias commanded. "Like I would tell you," Issei spat back. "You are going to tell me unless you don't want your blood painting these walls," Rias said with red in her eyes. With Issei's speed, he got up from his seat and ran towards Rias. He was so fast that nobody in the room could see him till he was inches from Rias' face. "Listen well, you red-haired bitch. I can go wherever and whenever I feel like. I don't need your approval. Also, you should be very careful who threatens you because if I felt like it, I could kill all of you without breaking a sweat," Issei said with a twisted grin. Rias stood there with cold sweat coming off her face. To say she was shocked would be an understatement. She thought that Issei was a regular low-level monster. Now she realized that Issei could kill all of them and make it look easy. What really shocked her was his eyes. His eyes were no longer brown. They were bright green and had a wild look to them. "If you kill me, my brother will," Rias tried to say. "What? Kill me? Ha. I would like to see him try," Issei said, getting closer to her. Rias was beyond terrified. Yet at the same time, turned on. Issei had a lot of power and was making Rias go completely insane from all of it. SM was always her queen's thing, so this was very new to her. "Oh my. What do we have here? It looks like a monster doesn't know his place." A lusty voice coming from the door. Issei's eyes got wide when he heard that voice. Issei turned his head and was shocked to say the least. "Akeno? Is that you?" "Issei?" Akeno replied. The two just looked at each other for a moment. Issei was still up in Ria's face but didn't even acknowledge her anymore. Akeno just stood there in the door with disbelief written all over her face. They just looked at each other for a solid 5 minutes without speaking. The rest of the Rias peerage was confused about what was going on. Issei was the one to break the silence in the room. "Long time no see," Issei said as he turned towards her. "Hey Ak." Akeno ran towards Issei and tackled him to the floor. She clung to him like her life depended on it. Akeno cried into Issei's chest for a couple of minutes. Issei tried to calm her down by rubbing her back and whispering that everything was okay. It seemed to work because she began to calm down. "I thought I wouldn't see you again," Akeno said while she lifted her head. "Yes. It's okay. I am here now," Issei said in a calm tone. "Akeno. How do you know this human?" Rias said in a commanding tone. The two got up from the ground and dusted themselves off. "Master. This is my childhood friend Issei," Akeno answered her master. Issei just looked at Rias with hatred in his eyes. "Master? I wonder how that happened. I bet the bitch tricked her somehow." "Oh really? Why did you fail to inform your master that you had a friend here?" Rias asked. "You never asked, master," Akeno replied. Rias seemed to accept the answer and got up from her seat. She walked around her desk and walked towards Issei. "Fair enough, Akeno. So, that brings me to your use. Just who are you?" Rias set his later finger on Issei's chest. "I am the one who is going to break your finger if you don't get it off of me," Issei said in a threatening tone. "Wow. You're so aggressive. I like it," Rias said in a lusty voice. "If you don't tell me why I am here in the next 3 seconds, you will see how aggressive I can get." Issei said he was getting tired of Ria's actions. "You're no fun," Rias said as she walked back towards her desk. "I want you to tell me what you are. You have some connection to the supernatural and I want to know what it is," Rias said in a polite tone. Issei looked at Akeno for a moment. She looked at him like she wanted to know what he was as well. "Akeno knows that I have some power but doesn't know my Slayer abilities. Unless her father told her about me. I could show my boosted gear and that could confirm what she knows because she clearly doesn't know about it. I will tell her either way, but I don't want the bitch to know," Issei thought. "Fine. I will show you my power," Issei said, acting like he was fed up with the W thing. Issei raised his left hand and summoned his boosted gear. Boost. The gauntlet appeared on his left arm with a green light filling the room. "I am the Red Dragon Emperor." Everyone in that room looked like they had just seen a ghost. Oh my. Issei likes to keep his secrets. Even from his childhood friend. Akeno said in a teasing manner. Issei was looking at Rias. She was looking at Issei like he was a piece of meat. I must say that this is a shock. I knew that you had power, but this is something special. Rias said. It's just scary gear. Kiba said in a dismissive tone. Issei looked at the blonde, narrowing his eyes. Anyways. Now I know what you are. I have a request. Rias asked in a seductive voice. What would that be? Issei looking back at Rias. I want you to join my peerage. Rias replied. No. Issei said without giving it a second thought. What? Why? Rias asked in shock. A few seconds ago, I nearly killed you. I don't think I would be a good fit. Plus, I am not overly fond of devils. Issei replied. Far enough. Can you at least join the orc? Rias asked. Issei looked at Akeno. She looked at him like she wanted him to say yes with those beautiful eyes she had. Damn. How can so no to those eyes? Issei thought. Alright. I can agree to that. Issei said in agreement. And Issei. Welcome to the orc. Rias yelled with a grin. With him in this club. I should be able to seduce him and make him a part of my peerage. I just hope I can do it in time. Issei made his excuses and left the building and began to walk home. He began to ponder about Akeno and what happened to her. He was currently in a park looking at the sun going down. She has certainly grown in many ways, but she hasn't changed it a bit. I wonder how she became that bitch's servant. If I find out she tricked her or abuses her, I will rip her in half. The group she was in seemed to be full of themselves as well. But I think they are just showing up because they are threatened by me. Oh well, I just hope they leave me out of their deals or rip their heads off. Excuse me. Are you Issei? A voice interrupted Issei from his thoughts. Issei looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a cute girl wearing a uniform with long black hair and violet eyes. She kind of looked like Akeno if she was shorter with smaller s. Yes. Issei replied to the girl. Oh. In that case I was wondering if you would go on a date with me. The girl asked. Issei recoiled a bit with the question. He was about to reply when Demlo spoke up. Issei, that is a fallen angel. Are you sure? Yes I am. I sense that she has some killing intent coming from her. I would recommend being careful. Demon said to his partner. Oh. I will be careful alright. Issei said with a plan of his own. Miss. I don't even know your name. Surely a pretty girl like yourself has a name. Issei upped the fallen angel. It's Yuma. She replied. In that case, Yuma, I just have one question for you. Issei said, closing the distance between them. Why yes. Yuma sounded nervous. How dumb do you think I am? Issei whispered in her ear. Huh. I don't know what you. Boom. While Issei had her distracted from his sweet talk, he silently pulled his shotgun for his backpack and when he got close, he fired the weapon for max damage using both barrels. Yuma got blown back a good 5 feet before landing on her back and screaming in pain. There was a giant where her stomach used to be. That hurt. Yuma screamed. TSK. 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 That's what you get for underestimating your enemy. Issei said as he loaded his shotgun and walked towards the down angel. What do you mean? Enemy. Yuma screamed. You can drop the scared girl gimmick. I know what you are. You might as well drop it. Issei said as looked down at the girl. The girl transferred into the fallen angel form. The only thing that changed was the size of her bust and her clothing. What she was wearing could be described as a black leather strap that covered her womanhood and her chest and nothing else. Nice outfit. Is your real name a lie too? Issei questioned. Raynare. She responded. Great. We are getting somewhere. Why did you try to kill me? Also, I wouldn't recommend lying to me because you might lose your head. Issei threatened. The high-rank commander sent us to kill you so you won't interfere with our plans, Raynare replied in pain. Us? So, there are more of you. How many? Issei questioned. You. That's how many. Raynare spat. Issei raised his foot and brought it down on her hand. Raynare's hand broke as soon as Issei's foot came in contact. Raynare screamed. Raynare. The only thing keeping you alive right now is what you know. Pissing me off and wasting my time isn't wise. Issei said with a twisted grin. Bree, she screamed. What is the mission here? Issei asked. The girl with scary gear is arriving here. We are supposed to get her and extract her gear at the church up the hill. She answered. Finally, who is this commander that wants me dead? Forget it. That is all I am telling you. Issei raised his foot and brought it down on her other hand, crushing it. She screamed. Who is that commander? Issei demanded. The Kabiel. He said that you escaped before and he wanted to make sure that you were killed. That's everything that I know. She screamed. Once before. Issei thought. Then it hit him. The fallen angel that killed his parents. Issei was beyond pissed. He was the target and his parents were just collateral. Issei looked down at the fallen angel and spoke in a cold tone. "Thank you, you complied and will grant you mercy." Issei said as put the shotgun towards her head. "Wait, you said you would give me mercy." Raynare shouted. "I am. A quick and painless death is mercy, given that we're going to kill an innocent life." Issei replied with a bloodthirsty grin. "Why?" Boom. Issei pulled both triggers of the weapon and as a result, blew the fallen angel's head off. Issei walked home with the information he gathered from the dead enemy. Issei had to plan out what he was going to do next. Issei got to his room and opened his fridge to make something for supper. There wasn't really much, but he managed to make a soup. Issei was so tied up with his supper that he didn't see the teleport circle flash in his room. "Are you making enough for two?" Akeno whispered in Issei's ear. "Akeno, what are you doing here?" Issei said as he looked back in shock. "I came here to see how you are doing." "You know I have a front door," Issei said as turned around. "Where is the fun in that?" Akeno replied as she wrapped her arms around Issei's neck. "I guess so," Issei said as he wrapped his arms around her slender waist. The two just looked at each other for a moment. Akeno was looking into Issei's soft brown eyes and Issei was looking into her violet eyes. As each moment passed, they got closer and closer together. A minute went by and they were an inch away from one another. "Issei. I missed you so much. I thought I would never see you again," Akeno said with tears in her eyes. "That's enough of those. I am here and never planning on leaving you alone," Issei whispered as he wiped the tears away. Issei closed the distance and edged Akeno on the dot. Akeno was a little surprised that Issei took the chance, but enjoyed the moment nevertheless. Akeno closed her eyes to bask in the sensation. The lasted on for a brief moment, but both parties enjoyed it. Issei pulled away and looked at Akeno for a moment. "I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself," Issei confessed. "Oh my. So selfish," Akeno teased. Issei shut off the oven and led Akeno over towards the couch. "Akeno, can I ask you a question?" Issei asked with a concerned voice. "Of course," Akeno replied. "If you don't mind me asking, can you tell me what happened?" Issei asked with the most sincere voice he could muster. Akeno looked at him. Then began to look at the ground and her body language changed. She was slouched over and crossed her arms under her chest. She looked like if you touched her she would fall apart. "When you left that night, I was completely torn in half. I avoided Barakiel until the next day. I went over the next day to find your house burned to the ground. I believe Barakiel had a couple of fallen angels kill you or kidnap you. However, Azazel came over to assure me that didn't happen. Barakiel relied on alcohol to ease the pain from Mama's murder. One night, Barakiel got really drunk one night and he started to hit me. He hit me again and again saying it was my fault that mother died. He stopped hitting me, then he started to touch me. He said that I could make it up to him by doing stuff that didn't get the chance to ruin me, as I soon ran away after he started that. I didn't make it far though. I was only a child and children have their limits. Just when my body gave out, I met Rias and she made a devil. However, due to me being a fallen angel I became this." Akeno opened her wings. One side is fallen wings and on the other was devil wings. Issei just sat there and listened to every word. When she finished her story, Issei felt nothing but pure rage. He was pissed at Barakiel for blaming his own daughter for what happened and abusing the person he cared for the most. Issei was mad at himself as well. If he didn't leave, he could have stopped this and saved Akeno. Issei wants nothing more and kill Barakiel in the most painful way possible. However, Issei was brought back from his own thoughts of anger when heard crying. Issei looked at Akeno. She was crying and that made Issei feel even more worse than he already felt. "Issei, are you okay with me? Do you hate me?" Akeno asked between her sniffing. Issei wraps her arms around her. He held her for all he was worth. "Akeno. I am so sorry that happened to you. I wish I was there to help. I am so sorry that I wasn't there. Akeno, I could never hate you. No matter what you are and what you become. I will always see you as my precious childhood friend," Issei said in a whisper. New tears came down Akeno's face. However, these were tears of happiness. Akeno was overjoyed to find out that she had nothing to fear. The two sat there, clinging to one another for what seemed like forever. They broke apart and looked at each other. Issei looked at Akeno. Issei could tell that she had something on her mind. "Akeno. You seem like you want to ask something," Issei asked Akeno. Issei could tell what she wanted to ask. "Well, Issei. I want to know why you left," Akeno asked as she looked Issei in his eyes. Issei took a deep breath and began to collect his thoughts. After compassing himself, Issei told Akeno about what happened that night. He told Akeno about the fallen angel, Demlos, the devil, everything. "In short, Akeno. I am from a bloodline that is responsible for nearly destroying the supernatural world. If you don't want to be seen with me because of that, I will understand." Issei said as he finished his story. He had a few tears in his eyes from bringing up his past. Akeno sat beside Issei in total shock. She never knew what Issei went through. What really shocked her was that he thought she didn't want to be seen with him due his ancestor. She wouldn't be able to look at herself if she did that to him. Akeno tackled him to his back. She was mounted on top of him and had his full attention. Idiot. I don't care what your ancestors did. The only thing I care about is you. Akeno confessed. Issei was rather shocked from what Akeno just said, but he was happy nonetheless. Issei reached up and locked with Akeno for a second time. The two made out for what seemed like forever. The only thing that made them leave each other was the air required to breathe. After they finished, Issei looked at Akeno with the most sincere smile. Akeno, will you be my girlfriend? Issei asked. He already knew the answer to that question. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Akeno practically yelled. The two held each other with such happiness that they lost the time. The two yawned and began to feel very tired. Issei looked at the clock and chuckled. What is so funny? Akeno asked. Akeno, do you remember what time you got here? Issei asked. I think around. Akeno. It's midnight. Issei answering the question. The two couldn't believe the time. It only felt like a half hour, but it clearly took longer than I thought. Well, I guess I should get going then. Akeno said in a depressed tone. She wanted to stay with Issei as long as possible. She got up and started to prepare a teleport circle. Well, you can stay here for the night with me? Issei asked with a blush across his face, looking hopeful. Akeno looked at him with a devilish smile. Where will I sleep though? Akeno acting coy. Well, I could take the couch and you take the bed, Issei unable to finish the sentence. Or? Akeno said as she walked over to him and pushed her into his chest. We could share the bed, Issei said with a blush on his face. If it is okay with my boyfriend, then I don't mind sharing the bed. Akeno whispered in Issei's ear. Issei recoiled from her sensual voice hitting his eardrum. Then Issei led her down the hall towards the bedroom. The two reached the bedroom when Issei remembered something. Akeno. I don't have a change of clothes that you can wear to bed. Issei said with embarrassment. Don't worry about it, Issei. I sleep. Akeno said in a teasing manner. Oh great. Issei replied with a giant blush on his face. Issei turned his back so Akeno could get comfortable. Issei began to take off his clothes. He was in his boxers when felt something soft touch his back. I'm done changing. Akeno whispered in Issei's ear. Issei froze as his brain started to melt down. Issei somehow managed to walk to his bed without looking at Akeno. Issei got underneath the covers and turned towards the wall that faced him. Issei began to wonder if he was going to get any sleep. Akeno giggled at Issei's reaction and walked over towards the other side of the bed. She got underneath the covers and looked directly at Issei. Issei shut off the lights when he felt that soft sensation return on his back. I didn't know you could get so embarrassed so easily. It's so cute, Akeno whispered. Issei smiled. Good night, Akeno. Issei said. Good night, Issei, Akeno replied. Issei awoke to the sound of crying and low s. He looked at the clock and found it was 3 a.m. He looked towards Akeno and found that she was tossing and turning. She also had tears running down her face and mumbling something under her breath. Issei believed she was having a nightmare. Issei needed to calm her down, but was unsure how to do it. So, Issei grabbed onto her and held her close. After holding her for a while, he began to pick up what she was saying. No. Stop please. Issei was thrown into rage when he heard that. However, he knew that he had to calm down and make sure Akeno was safe. Issei couldn't imagine what Akeno went through. Even after she told him, he still couldn't wrap his around the idea that her father would do that to her. Akeno, I swear that I will never leave again and protect you with my dying breath. Issei swore to himself. Akeno began to calm down after she was wrapped in Issei's arms. Issei noticed a smile on her face and heard something leave her. Issei. I love you. Issei smiled at that confession and began to fall back asleep. A couple hours later, Issei was woken up by the morning sun shining in his eyes. Issei looked at the clock and saw it was 7:30 a.m. School started at 9, so he decided to get up and take a shower. However, as soon as Issei began to move, he felt a force to hold him down. Issei looked to the right and blushed at what he saw. Akeno had wrapped herself around his right arm and held onto him like a vice. What Issei was embarrassed about was her lack of clothing. Issei could see everything and was having a tough time looking away. She is hot. How can a girl have a chest like that? They are so soft. Issei said to himself while looking at Akeno's chest. Issei began to feel a weight shift and saw Akeno's eyes begin to open. Good morning, Akeno. Issei said as he turned him away. Akeno looked at Issei and began to grow a devilish grin. Akeno mounted Issei so Issei had no escape. Good morning, darling. Enjoying the view? Akeno said in a lusty voice as she lifted her chest. Hey Akeno, I can see them. Issei replied. You want to touch them? Akeno asked. She grabbed onto Issei's hand. What? Issei said in shock. Issei knew he couldn't restrain himself if this continued. Akeno pulled Issei's hand into her chest and made him grab onto her left. Akeno arched her back in sensation. She was in pure bliss at the touch of Issei's rough hand. Oh my. This feels amazing. Akeno thought. Issei was both shocked and mesmerized at the feeling of Akeno's chest. They are so big and bouncy. They feel so great. Issei thought as he began to move his hand. Akeno looked at Issei with eyes filled with lust. She began to go on the attack and at Issei with passion and love. They began to make out for a couple of minutes as both of them began to explore one another's bodies. Issei flipped Akeno over on her back and pulled back from Akeno. We have to stop. Issei said as he tried catching his breath. Why? Akeno asked with concern. It feels wrong. After what you said last night, it feels like I am taking advantage of you. Issei said as he lowered his head. Akeno looked at him and lifted his head so he was looking at her directly in the eyes. You could never hurt me, Issei. You are the first person to ever accept me regardless of my wings. I have complete trust in you and I know whatever you choose to do, it will be the best thing to do for the both of us. Akeno said with a tear running down her face. Issei looked at her and at her on the head. Akeno, I wasn't there in your darkest hour and I don't think I could ever forgive myself for leaving you. So, you have my word when I mean I will never leave you again. I may not know what lies ahead of us, but I know I will take on hell itself to protect you. I will do whatever I can to keep you safe and happy. Issei said as he looked into Akeno's eyes with determination. Akeno cried with happiness as Issei finished his promise. She wrapped her arms around him and brought him in for a tight embrace. Thank you, Issei. I love you. Akeno nearly yelled. Issei managed to wiggle his head from Akeno's chest and looked her in the eyes. I love you too, Akeno. Issei said. The two were about to again when. Knock, knock. The couple sighed and began to get out of bed. Issei threw on some shorts and began to walk towards the front and walked into the bathroom to prepare to open his door to find a small white-hair girl. Issei recognized her from the orc and was slightly annoyed that she got in the way between him and Akeno. Yes. How can I help you? Issei said in an annoyed tone. Is Akeno here? The girl asked. Who's asking? Issei asked as he wanted to know who she was. Kaneko Taoju. I am Rias Gremory's rook. Kaneko replied. Yeah, she is. Come on in. Issei said as he opened the door to let the girl in. Kaneko walked into the apartment and sat down on the couch. Issei shut the door and walked into the kitchen and began to make breakfast. How did you know she was here? Also, how did I find where I lived? Issei questioned. That is none of your concern, human. Kaneko snapped back. Issei looked at Kaneko as his anger started to rise. If you think for a moment I am scared of you, then you need to get your small head checked. Issei retired. You should be human. I could crush you with little effort. All you have is that boosted gear and nothing else. I bet you barely know how to use it. Kaneko taunted. Partner. I really want you to put this child in her place. Drake said. I second that, Demos piped up. Eyes as much as I really want to. We have to hold back because these are Akeno's teammates. If I start killing them, Akeno will suffer for it. Issei said to two. However, I don't see why we can't shut her annoying trap. Issei thought. Issei walked over to where Kaneko spotted and got down to her level. Now you listen here, devil. The only reason why your skin isn't my new rug and your head isn't mounted on my wall alongside your master's is because of the person who is in my bathroom right now. If it wasn't for her being a part of your little club, I would have killed you where you stand in the most painful way possible. I might be just a human to you, but I have more power in my thumb than you will ever have. So, I would watch that mouth of yours. Issei threatened in a low tone as his eyes began to glow green. Kaneko just sat there with a scared look on her face. Kaneko was watching his power grow as he bashed her. She knew that he was telling the truth just by looking in his eyes. Okay, that was the only thing she was able to say. Issei backed off and walked back to the kitchen. Just as he got into the kitchen, Akeno came into the room dressed in her uniform. Who was at the door, Issei? Akeno asked. All Issei did was point to Kaneko, who was sitting on the couch. Kaneko? What is it? Akeno asked the rook. Our master wants to meet. She says it's urgent. Kaneko replied as she got up from her spot. Okay. I will leave right now. Akeno replied as she faced Issei. Looks like I have to skip breakfast. I will see you later. Akeno said to Issei. Issei walked over to her and put her on the forehead. You will. Issei said with a smile. Akeno blushed at that action and quickly grabbed Kaneko and left the apartment. Issei finished his breakfast and began to get ready for the day. Issei was outside the front gates of the school when he saw two guys run up behind him. Help us, the bald one said. "You got to hide us," the one with glasses said. Issei was beside himself as to what was going on when he saw a group of girls approach him with kendo gear on. "Hand them over," one of the girls yelled. She had brown eyes and hair that was tied in a twin tail. "Why? What did these two do?" Issei questioned. "These two perverts were spying on us as we were changing," she replied. "Oh really?" Issei said as he turned towards the two. "Well, today isn't your lucky day," Issei said with a smile. Issei grabbed onto the bald one and kneed him in the jewels. Issei kneed him so hard that a crack was heard. He went down with a thud. Issei turned towards the guy with glasses and threw a nasty right hook and caught the kid right in the jaw. He hit him hard enough that teeth were seen flying out his mouth. The kid followed the first kid's fall and didn't get back up. "Next time either one of you try this, think of this moment," Issei said as he walked away. The girls looked on as Issei began to walk away. They all began to blush at the strength of the new kid and all wondered who he was. The day went by fast. Issei later found out that the two boys he beat up had to be sent to the Issei began to daydream and the next he knew the final bell rang. Issei got up from his chair and packed his stuff up when felt someone tap his shoulder. Issei turned his head and saw Kiba. "Our president wants to see you," Kiba said. Issei sighed and walked with Kiba to the orc. They got to the clubhouse and reached the room where they usually meet. However, Issei saw that no one was there. "Where is everyone?" Issei asked as he walked into the room and sat down. "Our master is taking a shower in the next room. She will be out in a moment. As for our queen and rook, they had a contract to fulfill," Kiba replied. "Late for her own meeting. Wonderful," Issei said in a sarcastic tone. "You should really drop that self-important attitude you have, it could get you killed," Kiba said in a threatening tone. Issei looked at Kiba with a dull look. "The devil telling me that I am up my own ass. That is rich. This devil could kill you before you blinked," Kiba replied. Issei smiled. "You find that funny?" Kiba said, confused. "I find it funny that you think I am scared of low-level trash," Issei taunted. "You are walking on very thin ice, human," Kiba threatened. "Good thing I know how to swim," Issei replied in a bored tone. Just as Kiba began to walk towards Issei, Rias walked into the room wearing nothing but a towel. "Oh, Issei, you arrived. Kiba, leave us," Rias told as she entered the room. Issei looked at Kiba and waved as he walked towards the door. When Kiba left the room, Issei turned his attention towards Rias and her antics. "What do you want, Germary?" Issei said in a neutral tone. "You know, Issei, I don't remember giving you permission to date one of my servants," Rias said as walked towards him. "I can date whoever I feel like. I don't need permission from you," Issei replied looking in the other direction. "Oh, but you do. Since she is my servant, I can choose who she sees," Rias said as she sat down right next to Issei. Issei rolled his eyes. Issei forgot that high-ranking devils have complete control over their servants' lives. "Gremory, if you think for a moment that you are going to stop from seeing Akeno, you are dead wrong." "Who said that?" "I'm just saying you don't have permission to date my queen," Rias said. "However, if we were made a contract about it then I don't see why not," Rias whispered in Issei's ear. Issei was beginning to put it together. She wanted a favor from him and is using Akeno as a bargain chip. "What do you want?" Issei asked in a tired tone. Just a small favor from you. It's not a big deal," Rias asked as pushed his chest into Issei's arm. "What's the favor?" Issei asked. "I will tell you what it is when it presents itself," Rias replied. "So, you want me to do something for you and in return I can date your queen?" Issei asked. He was starting to get annoyed with her actions. "Yep. Once you complete this favor, you can date her," Rias said. "If I refuse?" Issei asked. "Well, you can't date her then. I will sell her off just to be certain," Rias replied. Issei pushed Rias onto her back and made her look into his bright green eyes. "If you ever do that, I will completely destroy you," Issei said in rage. "If she was gone, you could have me instead," Rias said as wrapped her legs around his waist and started to remove her towel. Issei removed himself from Rias and stood up. "I will think about it." "Gremory," Issei said as he began to walk towards the door. "Don't wait too long. Otherwise, it might be too late. Unless, that is what you want," Rias said in a lusty voice. "Oh, I almost forgot," Issei said as walked over to a bookshelf. He moved a couple of books to find a camera hidden among them. He grabbed the camera and smashed against the ground. The camera was completely destroyed. "I wasn't born yesterday," bitch Issei said as slammed the door as he left. "Smart and aggressive. You're really my type, Issei. I will make you mine soon," Rias thought as she got up. Issei got to his apartment. He slammed the door in frustration behind him. Issei was screwed and was pissed that he didn't see this coming. "How I am going to work myself out of this one," If I don't take it then she sells her off, but if I do what she wants, then she keeps her. Knowing the bitch, she is blackmailing me into peerage. What should I do? I don't want to be a part of that slut, but if I don't Akeno gets sent off. Shit. Issei was worked up in his thoughts that he didn't see Akeno teleport into the room. Akeno saw how pissed Issei was and began to worry. She wrapped herself around Issei and began to cling to him. Issei, what is the matter? Akeno said in a calm voice. Issei looked at her and fell apart. He wrapped himself around her and cried into her shoulder. Akeno was shocked at Issei's reaction. I am so sorry Akeno. Issei between tears. About what? Akeno said with confusion. Issei sat down on the couch and began to tell Akeno the deal he was forced to take. So, I either take a blind favor and she keeps you around or I refuse and she sells you off to another master and I never see you again. Issei said in a depressed tone. Akeno couldn't believe what she was hearing. The master who helps her get away from her dark past would just sell her off just to make sure that her new boyfriend can't see her. Akeno felt she was stabbed in the back. Akeno also knew how Issei felt about devils and could clearly see the wall he was up against. Issei looked at Akeno and clearly saw that she was stressed about the situation. Issei knew there was no way in hell that she was going to be sold to another who grabbed onto Akeno's hand to get her attention. I will take the favor. Issei said. Issei, this could mean you are signing your humanity away. Akeno said with concern. Akeno. I left you once and made you go through hell alone. If taking this deal ensures that you stay with me, I have to take it. Issei replied. Akeno began to shed some tears. He might have to sacrifice who he is just to stay with her. Issei in her eyes was getting more and more perfect. Issei. Akeno yelled as she jumped on him and captured him with her own. The two ended for a while. After they separated, Akeno grabbed Issei and led him into the bedroom. Come on, I have had a long day and I need my boyfriend to help me fall asleep. Akeno said in a cute girly tone. Issei began to take his clothes off. Just as he got down to his boxers, he felt a soft sensation on his back. Are you ready to head to bed? Akeno whispered. Issei turned around and edged her. Akeno was surprised at the action. Patching her in the moment, Issei picked her up so that she was facing him. As he got closer to the bed, Issei laid her down like she was a princess. Issei walked over to his side of the bed and got underneath the covers. Issei shut off the lights and faced her. Does that answer your question? Issei asked. Akeno just nodded her head with a blush on her face. Issei wrapped his arms around her and she did the same. Akeno began to fall asleep when Issei said this right before she closed her eyes. Akeno. You are my angel and no devil is taking you away from me. Akeno closed her eyes with a smile on her face. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the KILLER35 for writing that awesome fanfic and also make sure to comment on this story link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.